Hyundai Ioniq 5. 5 things we love and 5 things we really don't.
First up, 5 things we love about the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Number 1, the looks.
Because it looks so damn cool. When Hyundai came out with the 45 EV concept, as it was then, back in 2020, a lot of people, myself included, thought there is absolutely no way that any production car that comes from that concept will look anything like it. And yet, here we are in a car that looks like it should only ever exist on a motor show stand. It's absolutely epic.
Number 2, there's space everywhere.
Do you need a lot of space for people and things? Because if you do, then my word, is there a lot of space in here. Take the glove box for example. In most cars, you've got space for maybe the handbook or actually a pair of gloves. But in this, I've got space for 13 revival programs. I could even fit my running shoes. And there's more.
Not only is there space for 5,
Hello, bonjour, guten tag, howdy,
but the boot is huge.
welcome.
And there's a 57-litre frunk too. Number 3, the battery.
You can power camping equipment with your car. You can even charge other cars with your car. And the Ioniq 5 supports 800 volt charging infrastructures, which means if you can find a 350 kilowatt fast charger, you can get this from 10% charge to 80% in 18 minutes. That equates to around 62 miles in 5 minutes. Yes, you need to find the right charger, but if you can, it will mean that you won't be endlessly buying coffees that you don't need at motorway services in the middle of nowhere.
Number 4, the seats.
In most cars, you've got some level of seat adjustments. You can normally bring the seats forward or backwards. You can move them up and down. In this, the seat adjustment is on a whole other level. First things first, you've got a lower leg cushion that you can bring out there. Why? Because why not? And then the things get crazy. Look at that rotate. I'm just going to live here now. Goodbye. Let's go have a nap.
Number 5, performance.
This is no Porsche Taycan Turbo. This is a rear-wheel drive car. It's got the larger of the 2 batteries you can buy in an Ioniq 5 at the moment. It's 73 kilowatt hours and it's got 217 horsepower. And yet, it will get to 62 miles an hour in 7.2 seconds and go into a top speed of 115 miles an hour. Now that's nothing crazy. That's on a par with a similarly priced, similarly spec'd rear-wheel drive Ford Mustang Mach-E. But it's still pretty respectable. And because it's electric, you get all of its torque from 0 RPM. In this case, 350 Newton meters. The result is that compared to a similarly sized petrol SUV, it just feels a little nippier, a little more immediate. You don't have to wait for revs to build, you can just put your foot down and you're away.
Now, the less good stuff. Here are 5 things we really don't like about the Hyundai Ioniq 5. First up, the size.
In pictures, this looked like quite a small car. I remember when I saw the pictures for the first time, I thought, ooh, a really good looking, small electric city car, that's epic. But in reality, this is an SUV. There's really no getting away from it. I think that's a bit of a shame, because I think there was a real opportunity there to do a really good looking electric city car. So, is it a bad looking car? No, not at all. Do I want one as much now I realise that it's bigger than I thought so originally? No.
Number 2, the colour.
It's a great looking car, that there's no doubt. But when it comes to colours, you are limited somewhat. There are 8 to choose from. The first is white, then there's a grey, then there's another grey, then there's a black, and then there's another grey. The 3 others The first one is Lucid Blue Pearl, which is a bit controversial. Sorry, Lucid. Then there's a green, and then there's a gold. But they aren't really colours. They're not that bright. There's nothing like a bright red or a bright blue or a bright yellow. They're all just a bit muted.
Number 3, the brakes.
You see, plenty of hybrids and EVs have brake pedals that are difficult to judge. By that I mean, when you put your foot on the brake, you don't quite know exactly how much deceleration you're going to get, because the brakes are regenning. They're taking energy that would have been lost as heat and they're sending it into the battery, so well, you're recharging the battery for free essentially. Sadly, that's how it feels here. You put your foot on the brake and you don't always know exactly how quickly you're going to decelerate for the amount of pressure that you're putting on the pedal. Sometimes it's inconsistent. You can put your foot in the same place twice and it just doesn't feel quite the same. It's not terrible. It's definitely not the worst brake pedal I've come across in an electric car. But is it a nice feeling? Is it reassuring? No.
Number 4, weight.
An EV of this size is bound to be heavy, and sure enough, this weighs just under 2,000 kilograms, which is a lot. But fair enough, you know, it's an EV, they do tend to weigh quite a bit more. But sadly, the suspension here just can't control all of that mass. Go over a bump and the wheels just get unsettled. They're moving around for a little bit longer than you would want them to. They're just not that well controlled. The knock-on effect is this fun on a nice bit of road? Not if it's bumpy.
And number 5, the infotainment system.
Most of this system is actually pretty decent. It's much better than the systems in some other electric SUVs. I'm looking directly at you, Volkswagen ID4. Shame on you. But what this needs is a physical home button. Because for me, as the driver sitting on the right-hand side of the car, the home button is at the very top left. So when you're driving along, it's just a bit of a stretch. And yet you've got these physical buttons here. So why not just have a physical button on it that says home? Ditto when you're using Apple CarPlay, you've just got to press something random and entirely unrelated so you can get that home button. Why not just have a button? Give us a button, Hyundai. There we have it. 5 things we love and 5 things we really don't love about the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Do you agree? Do you think the colours are amazing? Do you detest the way this car looks? Let us know in the comments below.